The sole purpose of this video is to provide a basic overview and orientation of your new apparatus. This video is not intended to act as or replace individualized driver-operator training. Individual fire departments may base guidelines, policies, and procedures tailored for best practices. Pierce Manufacturing and Hughes Fire Equipment representatives are not liable for injuries caused from acts resulting from actions inconsistent with the information provided within this video and/or accompanying manuals. Refer to the Operation and Maintenance Manual for complete details relating to the components and features of this apparatus. Only trained personnel should operate this vehicle or perform maintenance. You are responsible for learning how to operate this fire apparatus under all conditions without having to refer to the manual while operating at an emergency incident. This video will discuss types of warnings and caution labels. It is your responsibility to locate and identify each of the labels and understand the importance and associated hazards. Warning labels will point out procedure that must be taken or action that must be avoided to guard against the possibility of serious injury or death. Caution labels will advise you that there is a risk of damage to property if certain precautions are not followed. Continuous training, reviewing of operation and service manuals, developing good standardized practices will assist driver operators with a more complete understanding of the components and operation of this fire apparatus. As the driver operator of this vehicle, you are responsible for understanding the function of each component of the apparatus, maintaining control of the fire apparatus at all times while in operation. Make operational and functional changes while operating at an emergency without having to read operator's instructions or safety warning labels. Operate manual override and emergency shutdown procedures immediately if a component fails to operate properly. Components location may vary with each Pierce fire apparatus. Review the exact location of each component prior to operation. Major inconsistencies between your vehicle and the information contained in this video should be directed to your sales representative. Safe operation of any vehicle is the responsibility of the driver operator. You must learn the location and function of all controls, switches, gauges, valves, inlets, and discharges. Due to a higher center of gravity, heavy trucks have a significantly higher rollover tendency than other types of vehicles. To reduce the risk of rollover, avoid making sharp turns, excessive speed, and avoid abrupt maneuvers. In the event of a rollover crash, an unbelted person is significantly more likely to become injured or die than a person wearing a seatbelt. In the event of a crash, unbuckled occupants can also become a hazard to other occupants, as they may be thrown around inside the cab. Seatbelts are required while in operation. Please refer to your warranty certificates for details and information enclosed in your manuals. Customer-installed equipment must be mounted to withstand road travel and comply with NFPA 1901. Modifications such as drilling holes or welding to structural frame components of the chassis are not permitted. Contact Pierce for instruction and review of non-structural sheet metal or other dissimilar metals for modification. Follow the radio installation guide for further assistance on installing or mounting electronics. Before placing your new apparatus into service, perform a primary inspection of key components of the apparatus, including all fluid levels, anti-lock braking systems, electronic stability control, and automatic traction control. Weigh your apparatus to ensure that it conforms to axle and brake ratings. Never exceed the gross axle rating printed on the label inside the cab. Exceeding these ratings could lead to reduced component life, personal injury, or death. Review the use of auxiliary braking systems, compression brake, exhaust brake, electronic retarder, and hydraulic retarder. Before placing the apparatus in service, refer to the operational maintenance manuals. Information on the operation and maintenance functions for the components such as the pump, pressure governor, and foam systems, along with other options, is provided in either the Pierce manuals and/or other manufacturer support information delivered with the apparatus. If you need more information, please contact Hughes Fire Equipment. Congratulations, Clark County, Nevada, on your new Pierce fire apparatus, job number 36493. Please utilize this 5-digit job number when referencing your apparatus with Hughes Fire Equipment and Pierce Manufacturing. We'll get started with a brief orientation. Let's start just under the front bumper. You'll find 2 open-ended tow hooks on the passenger and driver side. Starting on the face of the front bumper, on the outer edges, you'll find your electronic siren and PA speaker. Just inside that location, you'll find the B856 unit identifier. Moving toward the center, you'll find the winch cutout. Let's take a look at some close-ups of the items we just talked about. First, the cutout section here for your siren and PA speaker. Also a side-facing emergency warning light. As we move toward the center area, this is the winch location. You do have a 15,000 maximum allowable winch rating. As we move to the top section, you'll find hose storage and then also your turret on the passenger side. Moving toward the center, this is the location where the winch will be mounted. As we move to the driver's side, you'll find hose storage and also a swivel 1.5-inch discharge. The control mechanism is a ball valve located just through the cutout in the lower section. As we move to the front grille, you'll find forward-facing emergency warning lights. As we move to the side, you'll find your headlight structure housing low, high beam headlights and also turn indicator. Moving up to the very top, forward-facing floodlight and also emergency warning lights, ID clearance lights. As we move to the front hood section, you'll find a air ventilation for your engine, also a turn indicator marker light. As we move toward the rear section of the fender, you'll also find a warning placard indicating to remove the front bumper turret prior to tilting the hood. As we move toward the rear, this is that front bumper turret must be removed, and then also the release mechanism for the hood. You have Michelin tires and steel wheels. As we move around now to the fuel tank, ultra low sulfur diesel fill location is the silver cap. As we move just to the right, you'll find the blue cap, which was your DEF fill location only. Let's move to the door where you have an easily accessible with a gloved hand, your latch, and also a keyed lock. Just to the right, grab handles for gaining access in and out of the cab. They're located both on the front section and rear section doors. As we move to the cab, you'll also find a flat mirror and convex mirror on the passenger and driver side. And as we move inside the vehicle, affixed to the door panel, safety and warning placard informations are located here. You'll also find this yellow placard located on the left portion of the door. This is the manufactured from Pierce Manufacturing. This indicates the 5-digit job number, date of manufacture, gross vehicle weight rating, cold tire inflation. It also houses the VIN number and all of your fluid components and fluid component amounts. Let's move back to the door where you'll find the height of the vehicle, 10 feet 0 inches, length 28 feet 5 inches, and a gross vehicle weight rating 35,000 pounds along with mirror control. As we move to the seat area, you'll find on the left knee of the operator on the dash is where you'll find your keyed ignition. You also have a comfort seat, air ride, and also front to back will be the orange release mechanism. As we move to the floorboard area, right next to the driver's seat is where you'll find the master battery switch. It is a quarter turn. And then also as we move toward the console, you'll find an audible speaker alarm. The outer edge of that bezel does rotate to dampen the sound. Also your VMUX diagnostic port. Here's a close-up of the seat mechanism for the air ride and also front to back mechanism. On-off master battery switch, quarter turn. Let's move to the dash area where you'll find on the left-hand side speed control. This is your cruise control, set excel, coast and accelerate switch, headlight switch, and then also a switch labeled increase decrease. That's to increase or decrease the lights within preview of the operator. You have your transmission water and oil pressure. On the opposite side of the column, you'll find the air for front and rear, fuel level, and DEF level. In the center, your tachometer and speedometer. Diagnostic information will display above the speedometer and tachometer. As we move just to the right, you'll find your interaxle differential lock, an engine brake on and off switch. Also, you'll find just below that the Allison transmission pad. It's a push button and it is a digital readout. To the right, you'll find your regen operation switch. Moving further to the right, you'll find your parking brake. This is pull to apply and push to release. Also in the same vicinity, you'll find a switch for your mirror heat. We do have a load range high and also load range low. And then just below that, you'll find a filter minder indicating your air filter. Moving to the right, you'll find all-wheel drive, and then also 12-volt access via USB style and also barrel style. Above that, you'll find a radio, and then also below that, climate control. As we move down to the center console area, find the joystick for controlling your turret, also tally lights. As we look below, you'll find your switches associated with those tally lights. First, we'll start with emergency master. Emergency lights for lower zone, rear zone, an air horn, siren or horn selector, and then scene lights for front, rear, and left. This is your main pump, foam system, high idle, perimeter lights, and front scene lights. As we move just down from that location, you'll find an electric prime push button for your Watrous pump, also a pump pressure, and then also an LED water tank level indicator. As we look throughout the vehicle, you may find these warning placards. They are not to be removed, and they are just as indicators for the option of spare wiring behind the location of the candy cane warning placard. As we move just to the right in the dash area, you'll find your pressure controller. There's an on-off switch and also status lights regarding the LED for yellow, blinking, red solid, or red blinking. As we move further to the right, you'll find an air horn push button, also your PA system and electronic siren. Additional storage location toward the rear section. As we look overhead, you'll find the factory push on and off white lens map lights. And as we move now to the exterior of the vehicle toward the rear section, you'll find your auto eject shoreline inlet. As we moved also to the rear section of the cab area, affixed to the door panel, safety and warning placard information. Quick view just inside the cab area. As we move to the rear section of the seat, it's where you'll find your battery charger. When plugged into Shoreline Power, this will become active. Also, you'll find 12-volt access via USB at the rear section of the center console. There are two. As we move exterior to the pump panel area, you'll find your master drain and then all your labeled and color-coded associated drains. This is just beneath the running board in the pump panel area. You also have a driver's side auxiliary inlet. This is a 2.5-inch ball valve female inlet, a real blowout, and then also that's a twist, not a pull. Moving further down, you'll find the air inlet outlet location. And then just down from that, you'll find your foam draft or tank lever. Moving back up to the top, we have a warning placard indicating not to mix different brands or consistencies of foam for the possibility of foam failure. Also just to the right, the foam system instructions, and then also the number 1 driver's side 2.5-inch locally controlled discharge. Moving up on the pump panel, you'll find a warning placard indicating pressure hazard. Be cautious when opening caps, they may be under pressure. Also a warning regarding entanglement hazard. Because of that line coming from aloft in the crosslay, there's the possibility of entanglement. Also a warning placard, only trained personnel should operate this piece of equipment, and that's only after you receive proper training. Just above that, you'll find the engine cooler. It is a twist, not a pull. And then also your tank to pump. Just a note that in is open and out is closed. Moving further down, your Husky 3 foam system specifications. As we move further up, you'll find the number 1 Speedlay. As you can see in the red lettering, it's indicating it is foam capable. Also, the real discharge that is also a foam-capable discharge. Let's move just to the right where you'll find the minimum operation maintenance schedule for 150, 200, and 250 psi. In the upper right-hand corner, you'll find the electric prime push button. As we move further down, you'll find your tank fill and recirculating line. Let's move to the top of the pump panel where you'll find your discharge gauges. Right next to that, you're going to find a combination water level indicator and also foam level indicator, indicating by blue and red. As we move further to the right, you'll find an audible alarm. The outer edge of that bezel does rotate to dampen or brighten the sound. Moving just to the right, you'll find an OK to pump indicator. It's a tally light indicating green for OK to pump. You'll also find the foam system instructions for your Husky 3 foam system. And then just to the right, you'll find a pump hours readout. Let's move down to the left where you'll find your Pierce pressure throttle governor. And then moving further to the right in the gray module, you'll find your pressure controller. Moving over to the red module, this is your Husky 3 foam system. There are instructions for both of these devices on the face of the placard. Moving just to the right, you'll find your vacuum and pressure test gauge ports. They're currently plugged and these are utilized for testing purposes. As we move further down, you'll find some rocker switches and then also the reel rewind push button. Let's move just above this location of the pump panel where you'll find your booster reel or red line, also a free tension spool knob located on the left-hand side of the reel. As we move to the body section, in the upper portion you'll find a side-facing floodlight. Just to the rear, unit identifier B856, and then to the very rear section, the upper emergency warning light. As we move down, we have two additional storage locations here, one in front of the rear axle and then also one to the rear of the rear axle. Additional storage is also located in the very bottom section, right next to the emergency warning light, rear section lower. Michelin tires and dual wheels. Let's take a look at those additional storage locations in front of and also to the rear of the rear axle. Push release latch gains you access into these areas. And we'll take a couple close-ups here of the upper portion lights, first starting with the floodlight in the front section of the body. And then move toward the unit identifier and then also emergency warning light side facing at the rear. As we move through the compartments now, you'll find LED lighting inside and the compartments are also ventilated. This compartment has a pull-out tray that will tilt downward. In the upper portion, we have a 12-volt access via barrel style. As we move through the rear side compartment, you'll find an adjustable shelf, also LED lighting and ventilation. General view of the side and rear of the vehicle. Let's start on the driver's side and passenger side at the rear. On the angled area, you'll find a release for dropping the step down to gain access to move aloft. Also, reverse, turn, and brake light. As we move to the bottom section, you'll find steps protruding from the rear. They also have LED lights for access. As we move to the warnings regarding entanglement hazard, because the line's coming from aloft, there's the possibility of a entanglement hazard. Also, fall injury, never ride on the vehicle while it's in motion. And also when climbing onto the vehicle, always face the vehicle. As we move to the upper portion, a rear-facing floodlight. And then just above that, you'll find an LED emergency warning light, upper rear section. And then as we move all the way to the top, an additional storage location and hose storage. Let's move to the very bottom section where you'll find an additional warning placard indicating pressure hazard. Caps may be under pressure.
As we move just to the right, you'll find a 2.5-inch discharge locally controlled ball valve. You'll also find an inlet at the rear, 2.5-inch female ball valve locally controlled, and then also an 1.5-inch discharge locally controlled ball valve. To the right, also a backpack fill location, and just beneath that, the discharge. You'll also find 2 attachment or toe locations, and then also your spare tire at the rear. Unit identifier in the very bottom section, B856. These are some images here of the upper portion, grab handles, and also hose storage. Adjustable shelf in the rear compartment, LED lighting and ventilation. Let's move just up from this location. D-handle gains you access to your ground ladder storage area and additional long-handled tools. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the rear and side of the passenger area. We'll start down the compartments here. Same configuration and layout as we have on the driver's side. The very bottom section, you'll find an emergency warning light, also additional storage in the rear section. All of your compartment doors are tied to the do not move your apparatus indicator. Two adjustable shelves located in the very rear compartment here. LED lighting and also ventilation. We have the same storage locations, one in front of and one to the rear of the rear axle. You'll also find the exhaust located on this side. Extremely hot diesel exhaust temperatures do exist, especially during regen operations. Please be cautious where you park your vehicle and provide safety while it is in the process of regen. As we move to the forward compartment, you'll find a D-handled section here for your front tool board. This will allow you to open to gain access to the rear section of the tool board. On the inside hinge location, this is where you'll find the release mechanism for restoring it back to the closed position. As we move once again to the top, emergency warning lights, unit identifier, also in the front section of the body, a side-facing scene light. As we move down to the very bottom section, you'll also find this should remain uncapped. This is your relief discharge location, and then also an additional drain. 2.5-inch auxiliary inlet located in the lower section, locally controlled ball valve. Also warning placard regarding pressure hazard, caps may be under pressure. We do have a reel rewind located here, and then also the water strainer drain. That is a twist, not a pull. As we move to the very top section, you'll find the Darley placard indicating the capacity of your pump, and then also a warning placard regarding entanglement hazard. Because those lines coming from aloft, there is the possibility of entanglement. Also, just to the left, D-handle gains you access into this vertical compartment. Just above that, the number 2 Speedlay water and foam capable, and then just above that, you'll also find the water strainer location. This is where the strainer is located behind the cap. This is the long-handled tool storage compartment right next to your pump panel area. As we move up to the very top section, we'll go aloft, but this is where the Husky foam system is placed. And then also 2 D-handles gain access to additional storage. This is directly behind the passenger side rear cab area. As we move up to the cab to the rear section, same configuration and layout as we have on the driver's side. Moving just inside this location, rear compartment in the back, and then also roll-up compartment doors, and also compartment just under the seat riser. As we move to the forward section into the officer space, at the very top section, you'll find a downward pointing mirror, and then also your regular mirror for convex and flat. As we move just forward to this location, just as a reminder, remove the turret prior to tilting. These are the release mechanisms, both on the passenger and driver side. Michelin tires and steel wheel. As we move to the top section of the fender, once again, you'll find your marker turn indicator light. As we move forward to this location, you'll find your headlight structure, once again housing low and high beam headlights, turn indicator, and marker. Moving just forward to this location to the front bumper area, side-facing emergency warning light, and this is also location for your front bumper turret. As we move to the top section, rear of the hose bed area, fully enclosed hose bed, D-handle gains you access into this space. There are 2 accesses on the left and then also 2 on the right. As we move forward to the dunnage section, you'll find your booster line or red line. Also, as we move to the very front section, you'll find your Husky foam system reservoir. And then moving toward the front cab area, unit identifier B856. Let's go back to the dunnage area where you'll find D-handle gains us access into this space. This is where our water tank and foam tank is located. You'll also find a warning placard on that foam tank. Do not mix different brands or consistencies for the possibility of failure. Then we'll take a quick look into the hose storage location here at the very rear, and also hatch compartment storage. Congratulations, Clark County, Nevada, on your new Pierce fire apparatus, job number 36493. If you have any questions regarding your apparatus, please contact your Hughes Fire sales representative. Thank you and congratulations.